Hey everyone, this is Russell Brunson. Welcome back to the 10X Secrets Masterclass. Now, this session is going to be going through exactly how the slide deck works, how the framework for the presentation works, and a whole bunch of other amazing things. So I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit nervous to give you guys this because in the past I've given my slides to a couple people, and if you knew how much time and energy and effort goes into creating these things, you would understand why I don't normally give these out to anybody. But we thought, let's make everyone's jobs a lot easier. Now, the one thing I do request is when you use these slides, make sure you use your own images. I get people all the time who come in here and grab and they'll steal the images that I've used for different things. And you have to understand, these. First off, a lot of these images are mine. I've designed them, or I've paid for these images. So it's actually legal to do that. And especially places I bought images from. If I bought images from Shutterstock or iStock Photo, things like that, if you're grabbing them and using them, they will come after you, and they are they're mean companies. I'm a nice company. They can be mean. So just know that. Make sure you're using your own images and things for your own slides, and make sure that you're using this as a template, but customize it for your own. Okay. That's a big key. Okay, so a couple of things I want to kind of go through before I dive into the actual slides. Number one, this presentation is not going to be an in-depth training of exactly how to do all these things. That's all in the 10X Secrets training. So make sure you go back, go watch all that training, go understand it, go master it, because in there I'm going to go into the really nitty-gritties behind the strategy and the techniques and how you give the presentation. This is more so just so you guys see how this framework fits into the slide deck as you start going and editing your slides. Okay. The next thing, this is right here. This is the framework of how the perfect webinar works. And if you really want to go deeper into it, get the Expert Secrets book. The whole book is about this framework. We go really, really deep into every single piece of it. I share examples and case studies, and just if you want to just understand it and master it at an even deeper level, then make sure you read that book. And then down here, this is also from the Expert Secrets book. These are the Epiphany Bridge script. This is how we tell our stories throughout the webinars. Okay, and so understanding, I'll kind of reference some of these things during this training today, but if you want to go deep into it, again, it's going to 10X Secrets training, going to the Expert Secrets book. That's where you're going to get to really master and understand how to do these things. Also inside of the 10X Secrets training, there's a whole section called Story Selling Secrets, which is where I go through the Epiphany Bridge script and I talk about story and how to elicit emotion when you're telling your stories, and how to tell your backstory and how that leads to the internal and the external desires, and I kind of go deep into this whole process. Okay, and so make sure you're using all those resources. This video is not to go deep into the training, it's just to help you to understand how to plug these things into the presentation and how they all kind of fit together. Does that sound good? All right, so I'm going to spend a minute real quick on the framework. So this is the framework of the perfect webinar, okay? And it's broken down into a couple sections. Number one is your intro, where you're building rapport with somebody. And then from there, you're normally telling your origin story, okay? It's the very first shot of you kind of telling your story about why you believe that this thing you've created is the greatest thing on planet Earth, and it's going to give somebody the result they're looking for, and it's going to change their life. Okay, so that's typically the first 15 minutes is your intro, you're building rapport, and you're telling your origin story. Okay, then from there we transition to the content section of the training. Now, if you see how I structure my content, there's always here's the one thing I'm trying to convince you of, and then here's the 3 secrets to that. Okay, so the one thing for me is I want to convince you that funnels are going to be the thing that will change your business. It's going to change your life. It's the key, right? For you, you want things to be different. It could be, and again, if you want to really understand this at a deep level, I highly recommend reading the Expert Secrets book. Your one thing may be, your way of losing weight is the most important thing, or whatever it is, right? So I have my one thing and then my 3 secrets, okay? And just kind of as a reminder and a recap, the 3 secrets are all about the three different false, core false beliefs that keep somebody from buying from you. Okay, does that make sense? So the first false belief that they have that keeps them from buying is their false belief about the vehicle that you're offering them. So the vehicle is the opportunity, the product, the service, the thing you're trying to get them into. It's false beliefs about that. Okay, so for me, if I'm trying to typically people I'm speaking to, they're trying to grow a company. And so I'm coming to them, and the vehicle I'm offering them is saying, hey, the vehicle I have is this thing called a funnel, and it'll grow your company faster than anything else you could possibly do. Okay, so that's the vehicle. So I have to come and say, and then they may look at it and say, well, that's cool, Russell, but I'm spending time over here on hiring a team and doing that, and they have all these other options they're trying to do, and I have to convince them, no, this vehicle, the funnel, is the most important thing you could possibly do with your time right now. Okay, this is the key for you getting the result you're looking for. So that's the first thing. I gotta convince them of the vehicle. Okay. Then after I convince them of the vehicle, then naturally what happens after that? Cool, that makes sense. I think the vehicle is right. And the second false belief that always pops up is funnels seem awesome, but I don't know if I could do that. right? Like I'm not technical, I don't know how to design things, blah, blah, blah. And so the second false belief I have to smash is their internal false beliefs about themselves being able to execute on the vehicle that I'm offering them, okay? So if you're helping someone, like I'm helping you lose weight, or I'm helping you, with whatever it is you're selling, right? You gotta think about what are the false beliefs they have about themselves personally. Do you have to break second, right? So that's the second secret. And the third secret is the fault. Like what normally will happen is they'll say, okay, funnels are the greatest thing in the world. I think I could actually use ClickFunnels. It seems awesome, but I don't know how to drive traffic. I don't know, they always have some external thing that's keeping them out. Like they're blaming something else. Like, well, I'm not gonna have success because of that. Right? So you have to figure out what is that, and your third thing you're teaching in your presentation and the third set of stories you're telling are breaking the false belief around that. The external thing that's keeping them from success. So for my business, the external thing that is keeping them from success is traffic. Okay, for yours, it's going to be something different. So you have to figure out what's the external thing that's keeping them from success, and then you're telling stories and breaking false beliefs around that. Okay, so these each take about 15 minutes. So if you look at the timeline of this presentation, the intro and me telling my origin story is the first 15 minutes. Okay, secret 1's about 15 minutes, secrets 2, 15 minutes, secrets 3 is 15 minutes. So I'm about an hour into this. Okay, then I transition to my stack and my close. I'll spend 30 minutes on my stack and my close. So if I'm at a live event, then I'm spending 30 minutes doing that. So I'm at an hour up here and 30 minutes down here, so that makes 90. If I'm doing a webinar, I'll spend 30 minutes here and then I'll do another 30 minutes of Q&A, which shows me at about 2 hours. Now, if I'm doing like a Facebook Live hack like Kaylin did, or if I'm doing a shorter version for e-commerce like Jamie Cross did, I'm just compressing these things down, right? I'm still using the framework. The framework does not shift. It does not transition. It's perfect. That's what we call the perfect webinar. It's perfect. Don't mess with it. But it might shrink, okay? I might go, if Kaylin does her first perfect webinar hack, she does it in 30 minutes through Facebook Live, right? So everything's still here. She's just telling shorter stories. She's compressing things, but the framework stays intact. Same thing when Jamie Cross did it for her soap, okay? The framework is the same. It just shrinks. The stories shrink, the time shrinks, but the framework is intact, okay? So that's a big key to understand. Now, the other thing, and hopefully you've gone through the rest of the training because it'll make more sense if you have, but the majority of what I'm doing through my presentations, I'm telling stories to teach them something and to break a false belief, okay? And so then the question comes is like, how do I tell stories? What's the story arc? And so if you've read the Expert Secrets book, I talk about this concept called the Epiphany Bridge. And the Epiphany Bridge is how we tell stories. And it's not something I made up. This is like how all stories from the beginning of time till now work, right? If you look at all the highest grossing, most successful movies of all time, they all follow the same story arc, okay? And so this is what this whole thing is here, right here. And so I'm going to be showing this throughout the presentation. I'm doing this over and over and over and over again. And sometimes I'm going to tell a story like Hollywood might tell a story. It takes 2 to 3 hours in a movie to get through this whole story arc, right? If you look at a TV show like the show 24, or whatever your show is, like 24 does a story arc over 24 episodes. So 24 hours it takes them to tell the story arc. Okay, Kaylin does it in Facebook Live in 30 minutes. Jamie does it in 5 minutes, right? So sometimes stories will be, you can compress and you can shrink them, but the framework doesn't shift. Okay, that's what you have to understand is like the framework can compress and shrink based on how much details, how much you want to tell the story, but the framework doesn't change. Don't mess with the framework. It's perfect. That's what we call the perfect webinar. Okay, so this is the framework of stories. If you're like, I don't know how to tell a story, Russell, these questions here will walk you through this process, right? And so I'm just going to leave these on the screen as we're going through so you can kind of see how these things kind of plug in. Okay. Now again, with these slides, I'm going to be walking you through, this is just a framework. You can add slides, you can delete slides, you can change things, you can tweak things. This is just to kind of give you a framework of how I weave all my stories in through this process. Okay. How I transition this framework into PowerPoint slides. Okay. So the very first I begin with is my title slide. So here's 2 examples of title slides I have. Normally my title slides are just a headline and a picture, right? Something to kind of grab their attention. But they're very, very simple. By the way, you'll notice most of my slides are simple. Don't spend money on over designing. I usually have a footer with like a logo, and there's usually a picture and a headline. Like that's it. If it's too designed and doing too many things, people will be focusing on your slides, not you as a presenter. And so you don't want to make them too fancy. I just have things to really the goal of it is to remind me like what's next in the slide. What's the next thing I need to say? It helps keep me on storyline. Because you don't want to come off script, okay? Perfect webinar is perfect, but if you're in the middle of secret number 1 and you go off on this tangent for 25 minutes, you'll break the framework. So stay in the framework, and the slides are there to guide you through the framework. Okay, as you get better at this, though, you'll stop needing the slides because you'll know this framework in your head. If you watch when Kaylin did her her perfect webinar hack on Facebook, she didn't have slides. She just had a piece of paper for secret number 1, piece of paper for secret number 2, piece of paper for secret number 3, and the stack was up on her whiteboard, right? And so she held a piece of paper, and then she's told the story she knew she needed to tell. Held this number 2, told the stories. Held number 3, told the stories, and then did the stack and the close, okay? And so slides are just really there to guide me, to keep me on script. Okay, the worst thing you can do as a presenter is get off of script. Just stay on script. Do not get off script, okay? And that's what they're there for. And then my goal is that I don't want them so confusing that the audience gets sucked into them. I want them just basically there to give me reminders where I'm going and just keep them engaged, right? So that's why you'll notice the design's minimal. Okay, so I have a headline, whatever my headline of my presentation is there. Then I start transitioning to the intro report. Okay, so in here I'm teaching, I'm introing. I'm telling jokes, right? So I tell a joke of like, I'm gonna teach you guys something that's amazing, but don't use these powers for evil, right? I'm just trying to like, to get them to like me. So I'm telling the story. In here I have an earnings disclaimer. But if you look at this earnings disclaimer, I want you to notice something. This is just a mini epiphany bridge with the goal of trying to build rapport. Okay, if I come out saying, hey guys, I'm gonna show you how I make, $300,000 a day, people are gonna be like, he's an arrogant, annoying person who I hate, right? You don't want to do that. Instead, I tell a story that builds rapport and gets them to know me. So I'm like, hey guys, in the presentation I talked about up here how we're making $17,000 a day, which is pretty awesome, right? But like, I don't know about you, but first I want to make sure like you're not going to make $17,000 a day, right? Like, I just want to make sure we're all clear with that. This is my earnings disclaimer. Like, that's not the guarantee of this presentation. I'm just trying to show you like a funnel we have that actually does that. In fact, for me, when I got started online, boom, notice I'm slipping immediately into backstory. When I got started online, I didn't want to make 17 grand a day. I just wanted to cover some bills. Like, I had house payments, I had car payments, and blah, 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 blah. And I start telling my backstory, and I move this thing. I tell an entire Epiphany Bridge script in like 2 minutes, right? I wanted this thing, I had a thing, I found it out. This is the goal, to make $2,739 a day. And if you times that by a year, it's $1 million. If I could make $2,739 a day, that'd be $1 million, which is awesome. And so that was my goal. So for you guys, I say set a goal like that, like how much money can you make per day? And then every day give yourself a raise. Now what's cool is that now fast forward 10 years, I've got 27 active sales funnels, and some of them are doing horrible. Like some of them only make $20 a day, but I've got a few, like my biggest one I'm gonna show you guys today, makes $17,947 per day. Is that amazing? All right, cool. Okay, do you notice how like that story endeared me to you as opposed to made me annoying? If I said I got a funnel that's making 17 grand a day, you're like, oh, well, screw you. I don't like you, Russell. But if I'm like, I was broke, I want to be a millionaire, and like this is my goal. And then I'm also not doing an income plan. I'm not showing them how much money they're going to make. But I paint this vision of just like, hey, that's what you make that much a day. You're making $1 million. I've got 27 funnels and make. All of them make somewhere in there, and so in their mind they're like, "Oh my gosh, Russell's making a lot, right?" So it's building rapport, but it's also like establishing my credibility in a cool way that doesn't make me feel like a jerk. Okay, I tell another story because I'm trying to like do this intro. I'm trying to grab them and keep their attention. So I tell a story about there's this dude named Trey who's on the same webinar a year ago, and let me show you his result, right? So I'm kind of just like, this is why it's important for you to be on this webinar. Do not leave. And if you heard it in the past and you're back and you didn't take action last time, like stay on it this time, because look what happened to Trey. He was just like you, and now because of he listened to this, he's having so much success. Okay. All right. Now I come over here, and this is where I start introducing the new opportunity, right? And so what I like doing here is I try to be inclusive. I want to try to include everybody possible, right? So who is this for? And what's nice about this, you can actually use this slide to like include people, but also to exclude people, right? So if I'm like, hey, because otherwise people will get on your webinar, and one of the big thoughts is like, is this for me? And they're trying to fill it out. Like, should I stay on this? Should I not? It's gonna be an hour of my time. Is it worth it? So you have to like say, look, how many of you guys who are listening have a business? Okay, cool. If you have a business, this is for you, because I'm gonna show you how to use funnels to 10x any business you got. Now, how many of you guys are in the startup phase and don't have a business yet? Cool, you guys are even in a better spot, means you haven't screwed it up and don't have bad habits yet. I'm gonna show you guys how to use this funnel hacking process to launch your company right the very first time. So I don't care if you don't have a business yet or you do have a business, this is for you. Okay, so I use that to make sure that everyone's like, oh, cool, I'm in the right spot. Okay, now at the same time, if there's a group of people you don't want to serve, like let's say you're like, I don't want people who do blah, blah, blah I don't want them to buy my stuff, you can exclude them here and be like, hey, if you're making less than 50 grand a month right now, this is not for you, right? Or hey, if you're already in shape, this is not for you. And you can exclude people here as well, which helps. So I include the people I want, I exclude the people I don't want. Okay, now I come back, here's the goal for the presentation. Okay, this is the big thing, the one thing I'm trying to convince you of. And so I talk about a funnel a little bit. So for me, the thing I gotta convince them is that the only way to like 10x your company is through sales funnels. So my entire presentation, my goal is to get you guys to understand this, and then I'm gonna show you guys how the only way to do that is actually through ClickFunnels. Okay, does that sound good? All right. Now, if you watch the 10x Secrets training, I put in a price merit here in the 10x Secrets training that I did at Grant Cardone's event. And in there, like I talked about, like this is, I'm going to convince you the only way to 10x your company next 12 months is through funnels. And I got them all to commit, and actually, like, I did a whole price marinade here. So I didn't put these in the slides because a lot of you guys aren't going to want to do price marinades. But this is where, if you go back to the original training, you'll see this is where I plug that in there, and I get them all to commit. Like, I will pay you $11,000, Russell, if you convince me that funnels will 10x my business in the next 12 months. Okay, so I plug that in right here. Okay, now we start transitioning to qualifying yourself. What a lot of people do in this section is they talk about how cool they are, and that's super annoying, and nobody will like you afterwards. Okay, so what I do is I want to establish really quick that I am an authority, but I just touch upon it and I come back off it, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm Russell Brunson. I've had a chance to build funnels for guys like Tony Robbins that spoke at his event. Here's me with my family in Fiji on top of his house, which was insane. And you look at how big his head is compared to mine, and he's like a giant. He's awesome, right? And then here's me with Richard Branson. He puts my name on the side of a plane. It was awesome. So I kind of like do a quick highlight, but I literally spend maybe 20 seconds here fast, and then I need to come off my soapbox to build rapport. Okay, what most of you guys are gonna want to do is you want to like keep talking about how great you are. Don't. You touch it so they're aware of how great you are, but then you come back to them as quick as possible. And this is where I tell my origin story. So the origin story is probably, of all the stories, the one I'm going to go the deepest into the Epiphany Bridge script. Okay, I'm going to spend the most time here. In fact, usually, and this is probably 10 minutes for me to tell this story alone, right? But what's happening is that they just saw how awesome I am. They saw, oh my gosh, Richard Branson put Russell's book on the side of his plane. That must be, he must be the man, right? But now it's like, if I'm not careful, it's going to distance themselves from me. So instantly I need to come back to where they are, and I come into my Epiphany Bridge story, to my backstory, because my backstory is picking up at the exact same spot they're probably at right now. Okay? And here I start telling my backstory. So if you look at this, if you're doing your Epiphany Bridge story, like this is the questions you got to answer. Like, what's your backstory that gives us a vested interest in your journey? So here I'm like, all right, so let me tell you guys how I got started though. Like, my very first website was this thing called How to Make a Potato Gun. How many of you guys ever made a potato gun before, right? And they're thinking, a potato gun? Like, are you kidding me? And I tell this backstory. Okay, then, but what was I trying to accomplish? What were my external desires? Like, I want to make money because, like, blah, 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 blah. But what were my internal desires? Well, my internal desires was like, my wife was working at the time. I was going to school. I was providing nothing to the bottom line. I felt guilty, and I wanted to be the man of the house. Like, my wife, and like I wanted to be that person, and I wasn't. So I had to figure out some other way to make money because I was wrestling at the time. I couldn't quit wrestling, so I was trying to figure this out. So I'm telling my desires, right? And then I launched my first potato gun website, and it was awesome. I put it out there, and at first it worked, which was like this huge thing. And then Google came and slapped us, and it stopped working, and blah, blah, blah. So I hit this wall, right? And so I had to figure something out, and I was going these things, and then I met this friend. He told me a story, and all of a sudden I had this epiphany. It was this thing called upsell. So I had an upsell to my product, and all of a sudden, boom, it started working. It was amazing. Okay, so I'm telling you the epiphany I had. And then after I figured that out, I was like, okay, what's my plan? Well, potato guns aren't a huge market. Maybe I can make 10 grand a year off this, but where else could I use? Like, now I know funnels are the secret. What else could I do this with? And I was like, I did it here. I show all these different places I did build funnels, right? So here's my plan. And it was awesome. I was making, like, some made a ton of money, some made a little bit of money, but I became obsessed the next 10 years building funnels like crazy. Like, I realized it was the only thing on earth that actually made money consistently. So I was just doing it like crazy. But the problem, so here's my conflict, was like, it got really expensive. I ended up having an office with over 100 people in there, all helping me build funnels. And it was hard. It was painful. And until we developed this thing called ClickFunnels. And what's cool about that, and they talk about the two transformations, right? So if you haven't gone through the story selling stuff yet, go back in there. But we talk about up here, we set up our internal, external desires. Typically, your achievement is you fulfilling your external desires. So it's like, now we're able to make funnels. It used to take us 3 months to build a funnel. Now we can do it in about a week. We can do it in an hour, we can do it in a day, whatever. And we're making way more money. And we were able to cut our staff down to by 95%. Like, we would have one person for every 10 we had in the past. Boom, achievement. Then it's like the transformational journey addresses the internal. So not only was that awesome, the cooler thing is the fact that because I'm not spending all the time now, running a team of 100 people building funnels, I can spend more time with my wife and my kids, and like that's the real power behind what we're talking about, right? Boom. So I tell the whole Epiphany Bridge story. So now what happened? A couple things. Number one, I built rapport with them. Okay, they know who I am. We have connection. They know my backstory. I was able to. This is my first pass at them trying to convince them that my vehicle is the greatest thing in the world, right? So I did that in my origin story because I'm just telling this whole thing. And a lot of people at this point, they're ready to buy. They're just like, oh my gosh, Russell's convinced me funnels are the greatest thing in the world. But that's all happening just in the intro. So for a lot of you guys, like, just the intro alone is enough to sell people. Okay, but it's kind of the key. Okay, now. Yeah, the origin story is so powerful. So I spend a lot of time there, and that's kind of the script. All right. And then I come back like, look, but the good thing for you guys, the reason why I'm here today is because it took me 10 years. I went through all the effort to figure that crap out. But now because you guys are here today, I'm going to show you guys the easy way. How many of you guys want to learn the easy way? Yay, boom. Now liking my story to them, okay? Now if you've been struggling at this point, because all of you guys were trying to get the same result I was trying to get, right? That's why you are here in this room. So you've been struggling, this is probably why. And now this is where I start doing this thing right here. If you read Expert Secrets, there's a whole chapter just about this right here, right? My goal now is to justify their failures, to allay their fears, to throw rocks at their enemies, to confirm their suspicions, and to encourage their dreams, okay? So if you've been struggling in the past, like, it's not your fault, justify your failures. Like, it wasn't you, it was because of this and because of this, and these were the problems, like other people have been holding you back, right? Or and throw rocks at the enemies, like if you try to do it here, like that's like I was the same way. Like those vehicles, those other opportunities you're trying to get that result, they don't work, right? And if you didn't think, anyway, I don't want to go deep into this because it's not the goal of this training, but this slide is where I'm doing all these things right here. I'm putting those things and diving in deep to really build rapport with them, okay? Then I show a case study of like really quick, like, look guys, this is the hard way. This is what funnels used to do in the past. This is the way that we did it, the hard, annoying, painful way that sucked. But because you're here today and because you're going to this presentation, I'm going to show you guys the easy way. Okay, I'm taking away all this pain and suffering and make it easy. In fact, I'm going to do that whole process with you in just 10 minutes. Now I start transitioning from there to the content. Okay, so I'm 15 minutes in on slide 20. Well, not slide 29 because these are my little buffers. But you see what I'm doing so far? So that's all I've done. Intro, rapport, told my story, told my first epiphany bridge about the vehicle and why I'm so excited about it. A lot of people in their intro, they just tell their story about how great they are. It's like, no, that's not the goal. The goal is to touch upon how great you are really quickly, right? Like I showed you here. Like my quick humble brag really quick, and then boom, back into the story. But the entire goal of the backstory is not to tell my story. It's to do the first pass at convincing them that the vehicle that I'm going to be putting them in is the greatest thing on planet Earth. Okay. All right. So let me come now. Transition 3 secrets. Here is where I bring in 3 secrets. Secret number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay. Secrets about the vehicle, about their internal ability to execute on the vehicle, and the external things they think will keep them back from success. Now, don't just say secret number 1, how to use funnels. Secret number 2, how to believe that you can use funnels. Secret number 3, how to drive traffic into your funnels. I have to make these things sexy and interesting, so I'm like changing them around. Like I'm trying to figure out headlines. Okay, if you don't know how to use headlines, go get funnelscripts.com. Go to funnelscript and get the headline software and like plugging things in. Like I'm just looking for something sexy for these headlines, so people are like so intrigued they have to like watch the presentation. They can't cancel if they want to, right? So secret number 1 is called funnel hacking. How to ethically steal over $1 million worth of funnel hacks from your competitors for under $100. Secret number 2, funnel cloning. How to then clone the proven funnel. Secret number 3, right? So I'm telling these cool things where they're just like, oh my gosh, this looks so cool. I need it. So I touch upon the 3 things of what we're going to talk about, and then I jump in and start talking about it. Boom, secret number 1. And then I tell my Epiphany Bridge story about that. Okay? Now, I'm not going to spend time going through my slides because hopefully you see my presentation or seen a variation of it. All I'm doing is like, I'm coming back here to the vehicle, right? Now again, I told my origin story about why I believe about the vehicle, but what's another story I can tell to get them to believe that, for me, funnels are the greatest thing in the world? So I'm coming back and telling a story. Okay, what's a story I can plug into this framework? So for me, the story was this whole funnel hacking principle, right? So I went back and I learned from this guy, Tony Robbins. So I'm doing my backstory and like, you model people, and this is what pioneers did. And I found someone in funnel hack, and then I did this and I did it. I tell them this whole story, this journey I went upon. And like, I realized like, I don't have to like build a funnel. I just find someone else's funnel, I model it, and boom, I'm successful. Okay, so I tell that whole story. And so at first people are like, oh my gosh, like this is the teaching moment, right? I'm teaching them this process. Like you don't have to be smart. You just go find someone else, you buy their product, you see behind the scenes, and then you have a blueprint of what you actually create. This is your business blueprint, okay? And so I'm teaching them something, but I'm wrapping it in a story so it's inciting, entertaining, they're gonna remember it. And after it's done, then I'm like, but look, it's not just me. Let me show you other people. Like here's how Drew did it with Organifi, and here's how Jamel did it. So I'm showing them more proof of other people besides me doing the same thing. Also like, oh my gosh, like it's not just Russell. And then the next thought in people's heads is like, well, maybe it works for Russell and Drew, but not for me. And then now I try to make this inclusive. Like this works for this kind of business and this and this. And I show I try to make it inclusive of everybody this actually will work for, and try to touch upon every single person's thing, right? And I keep going deeper. Like okay, like for example, how many of you guys are coaches? How many of you guys have info products? How many of you guys have e-commerce? How many of you guys network? Like this is the funnel you would use if you were doing that. Like they're all there, okay? And then I just keep coming back. Like what are other false beliefs? What are the questions they're answering? If you watch the interview I did with Kaylin, the reason why she did her live webinar like 30 times before she automated, the reason why I did mine like 50 times before I automated was because every single time I did a webinar, I would look at the questions people would ask me in each of these sections, right? They ask all sorts of questions about why, like whatever those things are. So I export the questions every time. And I come back and I said, okay, during this section, everybody keeps asking me, how do I find a funnel to funnel hack, Russell? I'm like, oh, let me add that in. So I add in a slide. People keep asking, where do I find a good funnel to funnel hack? Let me show you, and I add in this next content piece, right? Which is just me telling the story. Like what I do is I go to this thing called ClickBank, and I find a funnel, and I buy their product, and boom, now I got this thing. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing as I'm just listening to their concerns. I'm listening to the confusion people coming up when I give the presentation. I plug it in, I add 2 or 3 slides to explain that part of the process, and boom, now we've got it. Okay, now the people quit asking this question, and now that's where you get the things you see people's testimonials, or you'll see people messaging like, I was literally just thinking it. How do you know I was thinking that? You answered it before I could even say it. It's like, because you and like 8,000 other people have asked me that question every single time at the same point, so I edited my slides and added it in. Okay, so don't think you need to have like, when you're modeling these slides, don't be like, okay, I need to have like, what's my equivalent of a coaching funnel? What's my equivalent info product funnel? Like, don't look at it that way. Look at like, what are the questions that people are probably having, and what stories can you pull out to answer those questions? Okay, that's all I'm doing here. Okay, honestly, that's what I'm doing throughout the rest of the presentation. You'll see the same thing, right? Okay, so I share the next story. I resolve all the concerns I can. Till by the time I'm at this point, I'm like, okay, that's everything that I can possibly think of to convince them that this vehicle is this is the thing they have to do, right? So then I restate this as an undeniable truth. Boom, I map it out. So here's secret number 1. Like, there you go. Now you guys all believe that, right? Now you see how to ethically steal $1 million. So now they're like, oh my gosh, Russell did teach me that. I know exactly how to do it now. Boom. Now I transition to secret number 2. So now in my mind, they're like, cool, funnels are the greatest thing in the world, but I don't know how to do it, right? Or, oh, cool, your way to lose weight is the greatest thing in the world, but I don't know how to do it, right? Whatever that is. So we transition now to secret number 2, which is now, okay, let me move to internal beliefs. Okay, so I call this funnel cloning, how to clone the proven funnels, and you sketch it out, and then I share my story, okay? Boom, Epiphany Bridge story. Grab out the Epiphany Bridge framework, and I begin. So backstory, what we used to have to do is this, and this, and this, but we found a new way, and it's called ClickFunnels. And it's not just me, those other people. Here's Garrett White talking about how great it is, and then what are the false beliefs? I'm not technical, I don't know. So let me just show you a demo. Okay, so for this product, I'm able to show a demo because it's a software product. You may not have a demo, maybe it's just another story. Like, hey, let me tell you a story about how I had the same belief you had. Let me explain how this works. And you tell that storyline, and boom, you've got it there, right? Then it's all done. By the time this is over, I need them to believe in their head, like, oh my gosh, I could even do this. And now I just restate the thing I promised them in the secret. I state it as an undeniable truth. So now you guys see exactly how to clone a proven funnel and ClickFunnels in less than 10 minutes, right? Cool. Now secret number 3. Boom. So now I'm like, what's the external thing? So now right now they're at this point in the presentation, like, they believe funnels are the greatest thing in the world. They believe they can build funnels. And like, a lot of people are ready to buy. Like, a lot of people are ready to buy after origin story. Some of them are ready to buy after secret number 1. Some are ready to buy after secret number 2. And then the last set of people you're trying to get to buy are the ones who are just like, I can see how to build a funnel, but I don't know how to drive traffic, so I can't do it because I have this, like, in my head, I know I don't know how to do that, so it's not going to work for me. So for me, I got to knock down the last secret here, right? Secret number 3 now for me is traffic. And then all I'm doing is pulling out the Epiphany Bridge framework, right? Telling the story. Here's my story about how to get traffic. It's a teaching point. I'm teaching, and I'm telling the story to teach it, right? Boom. I do the exact same thing. And then it's like, oh, it's not just me. Let me share other people's results, okay? Boom. I share other people's results. I look at other false beliefs they have. Like, people, again, I'm looking at the questions, what are the false beliefs, what are the questions people have. I'm plugging in slides to resolve those concerns. And then I restate it as an undeniable truth. And then here I come back and I recap it. Okay, so if you look at the framework again, before I get into the 3 secrets, I'm like, okay, this is everything I'm gonna teach you. And then I go and teach it, and I come back again, like, this is what I just taught you. Okay, there's like, so important that you keep redoing things over and over and over again, because people remember this and they're like all excited about this and they forgot about this again, right? So I'm stacking the training as well. So I stack at the beginning, teach 1, teach 2, teach 3, and I'm stacking it again right now. Okay, so here's everything we covered so far. We talked about this, and this, which you guys agree was amazing, right? Cool. Now I'm gonna start transitioning to selling. Now what I do, I start adding this little slide in here, which I love, is basically I'm doing a quick recap of the 3 secrets, right? So, and basically I say, okay, now if I did this, so for me it's, if I found a funnel I liked and I modeled it, and I logged into ClickFunnels and I built it, so the internal belief, and then I did the trafficking, you just taught me, Russell, do you think you could have success? And I'm like, yeah, of course I could. Cool. And then I'm just trying to recap, like, I want them to understand, like, if I were to do those 3 things Russell has talked about, would it work for me? I want them to all be like, oh my gosh, yes. If I just did what Russell said, it would actually work for me, right? So I'm recapping it here. So again, there's like, oh my gosh, like, this works. Like, this is my last shot of just like proving to them without beyond a shadow of a doubt that they do what I just told them to do. It's going to give them exactly what they needed, what they wanted, right? And now I transition to the selling. So let me ask you a question. And I use this funny picture of a girl getting shot in the face with the water hose. Since then, I've seen everybody on planet Earth copy me and use the same image or other images. You don't have to have a fire hose girl, okay? The transition is, let me ask you a question. A lot of you guys have learned this stuff. You now believe that funnels are the bee's knees. You believe that you can actually do it and you know how to drive traffic. But how many of you guys will, like, like are a little overwhelmed and not sure exactly how to do this. You know it's the future, but you don't know exactly how to do it, and you love my help with it. Raise your hand. Boom. Cool. Let me show you how I can help you. So you can have a picture of, holding someone's hand or standing next to somebody or guiding them or whatever. Like just something that where you're helping them understand. Like they now believe if you've done your job right at this point, they're like, oh my gosh, like I have to do this. This is like the future. But then they're afraid, right? Of like, well, I don't know how to do this though. And you come back, yeah, don't stress out about that. Let me just help you do it. And then you're gonna help them, right? And that's what the offer is. And then I usually ask for permission to sell here. I say, hey, are you guys okay if I spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes going over a special offer that'll help you so I can actually guide you, I can actually help you? And they always say, yes, cool, here's what you're gonna get. Now we're transitioning to the stack and the close. Okay, so I did 15 minutes on intro and origin story, 15 minutes in secret 1, secret 2, secret 3. So I'm at the hour mark, and now I'm transitioning. I ask them a question, I transition to the stack and the close. Okay, all right, so what you're gonna get is this. I do a quick high-level recap of deliverables. Don't do the cardinal sin and spend 6 months explaining every single point of every single module and what they're going to learn. No one cares about what they're going to learn. They care about the end result. So I'm going to give you the FunnelX Masterclass. I'll show you exactly everything you need to know to build any kind of funnel you need in your business. We're going to go over all these kind of funnels right here. And then boom, I spent all my time on other people who went through it. Here's what happened when Liz went through it, and when Mike went through it, and when Simon went through it. I share success stories, and when Drew went through it. Okay, now I try to be inclusive. Now literally, this is going to work for everybody. It's going to work if you have a supplement funnel, a coaching funnel, info. Like, this is me being inclusive of everyone again, right? And I started thinking, again, and this comes back from doing the webinar a lot of times, like what are the other, in this section, what are the questions people are asking me? The number one question I got is like, Russell, this thing's cool, but I don't have a product yet. So I added a slide and like, hey, if you don't have a product yet, because for me, it was literally the number one reason why people don't get started. So I want to destroy that reason, okay? Don't have a product yet? Don't worry. I'm going to teach you how to, in the first training module, you learn opt-in funnels, which you how to make money without a product, so you don't know you need to. And I went back and we actually created this whole product creation course because that was so many people's problems. So we went and created a course and said, look, and we also did special training just for our members on exactly how to create your entire product line in a weekend. So if you don't have a product yet, that can no longer be a valid excuse because it's here, right? So I destroy their biggest false concern. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a product, but now I really need it. Now I intro stack slide number 1. Here's what you're gonna get. 6 weeks FunnelX Masterclass, boom, total value. There you go. Now I introduce number 2 here in the stack slide, okay? Second you're gonna get is the tools. So for me, I talk about the tools, tell these stories, talk about everything they're gonna, so this is like everything you're gonna get with number 2, and here's everything you get rid of with number 2, okay? So I'm building the value and then I'm taking away the costs, right? I always want people to think ClickFunnels is free. So it's like, look, you can get rid of all these other things. So ClickFunnels literally becomes free for you. It doesn't cost you a penny, okay? This is the problem that this bonus solved for me. Like, you used to have all this stuff. Now you don't need any of it. It's how much time, money. No time. Like, you see how much these things cost. You don't have to worry about those anymore. And then any other false beliefs, I try to break those. So for me, when I was doing the webinar, people would always ask me, like, Russell, I don't have a ClickFunnels account, or what happens after 6 months? So I'm just plugging those things in here, right? So that's why it's so important to do it live and then export the questions and find out, because these are like, every single time I get this point, all these people ask this question, and if I didn't address it, then those people don't buy. So I plug it in, I address it. What happens if you already have an account? Don't worry, we're gonna upgrade it. What happens after 6 months? Don't worry, we're not gonna screw you. It's all gonna be good, right? So I'm plugging those things in, then I come back. Stack number 2, okay? 6 weeks FunnelX Masterclass plus this, total value now of this. Now I introduce the next product, okay? And typically, the other parts of your offer are going to address these things as well, right? So this next bonus that I'm putting in my offer is about traffic. So it's addressing the same thing that they were struggling with secret number 3. Okay, some people may be like, oh, Russell, I don't like driving traffic that way. I want to use Facebook ads. Cool, let me show you what else you get, okay? You're going to need more traffic, okay? I'm going to give you traffic hacks. Let me show you the pain and cost I had to go through to create this for you. I had to buy all these courses, all these books, study and memorize them. But you guys get it easy. So now I introduce you the ease and the speed for you. I'm just gonna give you my entire course, which is gonna show you everything, my solo ad hacks, my media buying hacks, my Facebook, my SEO, blah, blah, blah. Now you get all the traffic, not just what I showed you earlier, okay? Now I break any false beliefs, like, it's gonna be hard, Russell, I don't know how to drive traffic. Don't worry, I don't either. I make it really simple, I make doodles, okay? Break false beliefs. Then intro now, stack slide number 3. Boom, 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 new total value. And then I can introduce the next product, okay? So next product, what's the next biggest concern they have? For my people, it was copy. So I'm like, cool, copy. You can do copy, the pain and cost. Like back in the day, we had to pay 20 grand for copy. That's so much, it's expensive. But I made it easy for you. So it's like, introduce the thing. Talk about how much pain and cost went in for you to create this thing and how easy and how fast it is for them. Boom, you get this course. Then break release. I don't know how to write copy though. Don't worry. Boom, you get the scripts, you get the copy, you get everything. It's easy. There you go. Intro stack slide number 4. Boom, 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 boom. Everything's in there now. Total value of this. What else? Okay, do you have any other products? Do you have any other things that they need? What other bonuses can you include that'll break other false beliefs? Plug those in here now. So the email sequences, pain and cost to create them. Oh, they're so hard. I'll never be able to write that much. It's not fair. Don't worry, it's gonna be easy now because I'm just gonna give you the sequences and life is now fun. Boom. Break false beliefs. You can do it. Right? And same thing. And then come back here. New stack slide. Boom, boom, boom. Total value now $11,550. So for me, this is the peak, the crescendo of my stack. Now I need to convince them that everything they're about to buy is actually worth $11,552. So we introduce if-all statements. I talk about these a lot in the 10X training, so I'm not going to talk too much other than this is where I insert the if-alls. After I've done the stack, then I introduce if-all. So if all this did was blank, would it be worth it? If all this did was blank, would it be worth it? If all this did would blank, would it be worth $11,552? I get them to say yes 3 times in a row. So 3 times in a row, they told me yes, it'd be worth $11,552. Cool. So now I got 2 choices. This is my 2 choices close. First option is go super cheap, or second option is going to cost more money, but it means I can dedicate more resources to guarantee your success. What would the end result be worth to you? What's one funnel worth to you right now? Is it 5K a month, 10K a month, or more? How much would you pay to get that one perfect funnel? Okay, so you think about the result. What's the result they're trying to get? Okay, for me, they're trying to build a funnel to grow a company. For you, it might be weight loss. It might be soap, whatever your thing is, right? Like, what's the result they're looking for? They want to not stink anymore, so they need amazing soap, but they want soap that's not going to cause cancer. Like, okay, so like, what would that one result be worth to them? Okay, is it $5,000 a month? Is it $10,000? Like, what's it going to cost, like, to get that result? I want them to have the pain of, like, I would pay $1 billion to lose the last weight I have. I want to pay $10,000. Like, I would pay trainers and liposuction, like all the crazy options. Like, what would you pay to get that to happen? So you just got the result. Okay, and then like when I went through this process, this is what I had to pay. Okay, but it's not a cost, it's an investment. Boom. So my goal is to transition from what would you pay, how much does it cost? It's not a cost, it's an investment. Does that make sense? The price drop, you see what's a good deal here, super good deal here, but boom, price reveal, and we show them the actual price we're gonna sell for. Okay, now I used to end my presentations here. 90% of my sales now come after this. So I literally for 5 years threw away 90% of my sales. But at this point, I share the price, I reveal it, I put in the URL for them to go buy it, and then every slide moving forward will have the URL. If I'm on a webinar, if I'm on an event, this is the first time I ask them to stand up and go to the back of the room to get your order forms, right? Okay, now I need to justify this price. So this is all the post-selling that happens after I introduce the price. Okay, some people's got some sticker shock right there. They're like, now I gotta justify this price. Like, come backwards. Okay, now $997 may seem like a lot to a lot of you guys, but if you go to ClickFunnels right now, the full Essence Suite costs this much. You guys literally get it for free when you invest today. Is that amazing? Like, check it out. You go here. There's the cost. You guys get it for free. Okay. Now I come back to the 2 choices close. Okay. You got 2 choices. Number 1, don't do anything and waste all of our time. Or number 2, just try it out and see if it works. If it's not going to work, don't worry. I'll give you your money back. This is not about me. This is about you. Right. Boom. I guarantee. Here's my guarantee. Then the real question is this close. The real question is it really worth gambling some time? Boom. Stack slide, we stack it again, boom, 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 total value. This way they don't forget everything they're getting. There's the total value once again. Now I introduce urgency and scarcity. Boom, this is only first 50 people. It's what our enterprise member gets. This is what you're gonna get. Then I call to action. Then I go, after the urgency bonus, then I do my last call to action. Again, if I'm at a live event, this is where I really push hard. Like, stand up, because there's 200 people in the room, only 50 get the stand up right now, go to the back. First 15 people in the back get it. So I'm pushing and pushing and pushing them through here. And then if you have any financing options, it's a good place to put those in. So if you're gonna do a 3Pay or 5Pay or 9Pay, or if you use PayPal credit, whatever your financing options is, I put financing in here right here. Here's how to finance it if you need help. And then I come to the last slide. And the last slide is important to have all the information, okay? Because I used to get people all the time, they're like, what's the offer again? What am I getting? What costs $997? So I start adding this in. So here's a recap of everything they're gonna get. So they see it visually, right? They have the price again, the URL. I like having a countdown clock. Now, if I'm at a live event, you don't have this opportunity, right? Live event, as soon as you get to the slide, it ends, thing's over, you're running the back of the room trying to close deals in the back of the room, right? But this is still gonna be on the slide, so I leave this up here so people who are sitting in their chairs are like, what is it again? Oh, and looking back, they're seeing a big table rush people and they're trying to justify it. I wanna make sure they can see what the offer is at all times. If I'm on a webinar, I keep it here. I have a countdown clock and I preload like 30 of the most commonly asked questions in here. And I now move into 30 minutes of QVC closing. So I call QVC closing because it's like, let me share with question 1. Question 1 is this. I say the question, I answer it, and I tell them now, if you're ready to go buy, go to clickfunnels.com/go. All right, question number 2 is what? Okay, here's the question, here's the answer. All right, if you're ready to go, it's time to go. clickfunnels.com/go. And I just keep reclosing. So there's like 30 more closes that are happening during the next 30 minutes. We also weave in here the questions from Jason Fladlin we used to do called, "You're probably thinking this, right?" Boom, and then I resolve the concern. "You're probably thinking this, right?" Boom, resolve concern. And for the next 30 minutes, I'm just closing like crazy, answering concerns, resolving concerns, anything I can think of to get them to go and buy if you have the opportunity, right? So if you have a webinar, you're spending the last 30 minutes here, and that would make a 2-hour presentation. If you're on stage, you don't have that luxury. You do the last slide, you close it, push in the back, and then you go. And that, you guys, is how you use these slides. So when you download the slides, you'll see they'll be the same framework. I'll keep these images in between. I'm going to edit these things out so you don't have all my words and my images and things in there, so you won't be tempted to steal my copyrighted images like have happened in the past. But you'll see the framework, okay? So I want you guys to understand that these slides will just speed up your process, okay? But this is the framework that we're looking at. This is the framework of the Epiphany Bridge stories, right? If you can master these, that is the key, right? And so, like, long term, again, I recommend this. I've said it over and over and over again throughout this training, is that when you first start doing this, you should do your webinar live every single week till you've mastered it, which for me was over a year. For you, it's probably gonna be at least a year. For Kaylin, it was a year, right? And then after you've mastered it and you've told these stories so many times, you know how to tell them, you know the concerns, you know the false beliefs, you've plugged them in your slides, they've gotten better and better and better and better. Now, at that point, is where you can go and try a Facebook Live webinar where you just need 3 pieces of paper like Kaylin did, where it's like secret number 1, secret 2, secret 3, and you can just tell the stories. You know the concerns. You can do those things fast. You can compress it from 90 minutes to 30 without too much effort, from 30 to 5, because you've mastered it. You've done it so many times. But this is the process. This is the framework. Understanding this is how the Perfect Webinar Framework works, how the Epiphany Bridge Framework works, and these slides, how they kind of tie in with the framework. That was the goal of this presentation. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope you love it. And I hope that you guys all make tons of money with your presentations. Thanks again for being a 10X Secrets customer, and we'll talk to you guys soon.